Hello, my name is Khan Ross. Thanks for joining my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I'm a former diplomat and diplomatic advisor. I've advised scores of democratic countries and political groups all over the world. Today, I want to talk about Gaza, which of course has been much in the news because of the renewed hostilities and the breakdown of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Why has this happened and where might it be leading? Why it's happened? Well, in this phase of the ceasefire, so-called phase 2, after the initial release of hostages, there was supposed to be a full release of the remaining living hostages and an Israeli withdrawal, full military withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. Instead, Israel has declared different goals. It is said that then not only must be a full release of the hostages, but also Hamas must be removed as the government of the Gaza Strip, and indeed its presence must completely end in the Gaza Strip. In other words, Israel has changed the terms of what the ceasefire was supposed to consist of. So it's pretty clear where blame should lie for the end of the ceasefire and the renewed hostilities. To add to that, Israel has openly, brazenly admitted that it will be conducting war crimes in its conduct in the Gaza Strip. In a statement a couple of days ago, Israel Katz, the defense minister, said that the whole population would be targeted if Hamas didn't give up the hostages. Israel is maintaining its blockade of humanitarian supplies to the Gaza Strip. And today, a cancer hospital was completely destroyed by an Israeli attack. All three of these things are, of course, clear breaches of international humanitarian law, which begs the question why somebody like Keir Starmer insists on saying that Israel is at risk of breaching international humanitarian law. Thirdly, there is a longer-term project going on here which we must not lose sight of, and that is the settlement of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, the expansion of Israeli territory into Palestinian territory. Katz, in that statement he made a day or two ago, said that Israel would annex parts of the Gaza Strip if Hamas didn't release the hostages. He also said that Israel supported the supposed voluntary relocation of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, as President Trump has proposed as part of his plan to build a kind of new Riviera in the Gaza Strip. Of course, there's no such thing as a voluntary relocation. The Palestinians don't want to move, so any relocation would be forced. Ethnic cleansing is one term for it. It's also another clear breach of international law. Meanwhile, Sigrid Kaag, the UN Special Coordinator for the implementation of a resolution banning settlements in the occupied territories, has said that settlement activity has in fact intensified and accelerated in recent months, and 2 refugee camps in the West Bank have been emptied of their Palestinian residents. So the pursuit of the plan of settlement and occupation of Palestinian land clearly is continuing, if not actually intensifying. Now, the question is what to do about this. There is, of course, a pile as high as a house of UN resolutions, EU statements, ICJ rulings, etc., condemning war crimes, demanding the end of settlements, demanding a two-state solution, etc. It is very clear that Israel is completely indifferent to these statements. Perhaps understandably, like all of us, it takes actions more seriously than words. And for instance, the UK's continued supply of weapons to Israel sends a stronger signal than any rhetoric issuing from the British government about concern at current events. So what is left to do? Well, in my experience, there are actually very few options available to the international community when a state is breaking international law, conducting itself unlawfully and belligerently, as Israel is doing. You either express concern, or you go to war with that party, or you impose sanctions. So that's really the only option that exists aside from conflict and rhetoric. Sanctions could start, for instance, with targeted sanctions against the Israeli leadership, who of course have already been indicted by the International Criminal Court, or settler leaders, or those engaged in war crimes in the IDF. Start with those committing illegal actions. Don't target the broader population. That's a clear lesson from previous sanctions regimes, and perhaps that is the only kind of pressure that might actually have any effect on Israel's behavior. Above all, we have to stop treating Israel as some kind of ally, some kind of rational actor who might be persuaded from stopping these egregious actions, but instead treat it for what it is, which is a rogue state. Thank you.